there, welcome back to another show. Today I'm talking about the Rogue Cops and Racketeers box set. That's from Arrow, and it's got two films, The Big Racket and Heroin Busters. And here are the titles here. You get a booklet. Well, I'm sure this is gone now. But it's a nice little booklet. Normal Arrow booklet. And these are from director... Right, here we go. I'm trying to... Enzo G. Castellari, who also did Inglourious Bastards and a bunch of other exploitation films. And these are a lot of fun, if not amazing. They're not amazing films. So they've starred Fabio Testi in both of them, and you've also David Hemmings in one of them. Now, I preferred the Heroin Busters, even though it's mightily flawed. The Big Racket is the first one in the box set, and it's a weird film. It's a really weird film. Both of these films are obviously exploitation rip-offs of, like, you know, what was big in the in America, really. So you would so the Big Racket is kind of like the vigilante movie done almost as like a team-up movie, and you've also like so it starts as a vigilante movie, also a road cop movie meets vigilante movie, then it turns into a Dirty Dozen movie. And Heroin Busters is like a undercover cop movie for a while, and then it becomes an action movie in the second half. So it's just like there's bits of everything, and it's like, oh, these are based on cases or things that happened in Italy, and I'm thinking, I don't think any of this stuff happened in Italy. I think it's based on very, very roughly and stuff people have heard. But I don't think it's really based on things that happened in Italy, like exactly. They both have kind of fairly right-wing politics. It's like if you're an extreme liberal, you're gonna hate these, right? If like me, you're a kind of liberal who can take this stuff quite happily and enjoys absurdity, because the politics are just absurd. You're gonna be fine. and if you're a right winger, you're kind of gonna love these, you know. So for me, they're kind of a guilty pleasure. So the Big Racket, it starts off as a cop played by Fabio Testi, and he's out to get these guys who are beating up these local owners. This is a new criminal syndicate that starts out that deals with all sorts of crime, but also, you know, deals with like beating up shop owners and give them protection money, which is a big threat in the first half of the movie. But these are people with protection money who hire like gun-wielding psychopaths and thugs and people who are into all sorts of things, and you think, shouldn't you all be like blowing stuff up and robbing banks rather than just beating up owners of restaurants or owners of shops? It seems like the villains are far more overqualified for the job they're doing, and it's this massive like takeover of the city, a criminal takeover of the city, led by a lot of people. There's a guy who's the guy in charge. It's the same actor playing the guy in charge of both films, the lead villain. And he's just a smug Italian guy who's meant to be smooth, but he just looks like an actor playing a part of a smooth guy. Doesn't really convince as a smooth guy. And you just all these character actors that obviously the director likes, so you're the villain. So it means you can go and do horrible stuff and, you know, just ham it up like crazy and do this horrible stuff to all these pure other actors. And it's like, there's no reality. It's like, you'd always be arrested within 2 minutes. And I'm always saying, like, the police can't touch them because no one pressed charges and all this other stuff. It's like, if they were getting beaten up this badly, someone would press charges. And eventually, someone does. And essentially, that gives the film its chance to have a big rape scene of this poor girl who gets gang raped and commits suicide and turns her father mad. And then basically whoever crosses them because later on there's a big bust that goes wrong when it's a trap for the cops, and Fabio's shops are getting shot, and a local a guy who shoots for Italy on some shooting sport thing was driving by and comes in and helps the police and shoots a lot of these guys, vigilante style. Now he's a hero, and then the next scene his wife gets attacked and raped and burnt alive, and they try and kill him as well at the same time, but he survives. So basically, if you're a woman in this film, there's a fairly good chance you're going to get raped. That's Italy in the 70s. It's like they don't understand attraction to women without anything else happening. At least the filmmakers don't. I'm sure that the general population did, but the filmmakers didn't. So all this stuff happens. Fabio gets fed up with his own police and thinks they're on the take. He ends up getting thrown out because he ends up helping these local bank robbers who are crooked, and they're going to inform for him, and which leads to the big field attack that the shooting guy intervened in. So they're going undercover for him, and at the same time, to keep the cover going, they're robbing banks at the same time. And of course, when this all goes wrong and the police find out about this, Fabio gets fired. Well, we're having this amazingly whiny yelling session where he's saying, "You guys don't know when I stand how it takes to get these people," and they're like, "You just financed bank robberies. I think you're the criminal." It's absurd that way. Then eventually all the guys who have been messed up by this criminal outfit get together, because it's like Fabio's like, "I'm out for revenge, I want to get these guys. These guys did you over." So the father, who's gone crazy, who is in jail because he shot a couple of the criminals who came out to the shop. There's the guy who was the undercover guy whose young nephew was murdered because of the intervention of these criminals. He's involved. There's a bunch of other, like the guy who is a good shooter. There was a guy who used to work for them who basically get turned on. So they all get together to take these guys down. They find out where they're getting together for their big "let's take over the city" meeting. And so the finale is basically them in a warehouse blowing the shit out of these guys and killing them in brutal ways, vigilante style. But it's kind of like a dirty dozen, but there's only 5 of them or 6 of them. And it's absolutely absurd. The whole film is monumentally stupid, but it's very entertaining, just for how serious it takes itself, but also how grimy it is and how just like misanthropic it actually is. And it's just like it says, everyone's cowards or psychopaths, and your lead character is a total psycho who's a cop. So yeah, this one's a lot of fun, but it's absolutely, you might want to go for a bath afterwards for what it says about humanity. Now we have the Heroin Busters, which I preferred actually. It's just as stupid. So it stars Fabio Testi, the undercover cop who's deep undercover, to quote Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop, and he's so undercover that he's helping move drugs into the country and telling off where they're coming, and he's trying to find out where the main supply lines are going to, and it's all getting passed through this theatre group, this left-wing theatre group that obviously, if you're a town cop, you're pretty sure they're into drugs and they're into prostitution and you're into all sorts of other things. They can't just be objecting to you because you think they're fascists. They can't just object to the cops because they think the cops are fascists. That can't be true. So no, it's like, because in Italy and Germany and all the rest of it, there was always these problems with the youth. So in this one, the youth's a front cover for massive drug deals. The only thing that can save them is Fabio Testi with his tight jeans, and David Hemming, middle-aged and doing this film for the money. And the best thing in the film is Hemmings, because he doesn't give a crap, but he's having a lot of fun playing his eccentric rogue cop who works for Interpol. Like, he knows it's nonsense. He knows exactly what film he's in. He's picking up the check, but he's having fun. And it's like, and he's a big relief because Testi, Fabio Testi, does seem to take himself too seriously in these films. So it's quite nice to have David Hemmings in there not giving a shit. So the first half of the movie is all the subterfuges Testi goes through all of these underworld figures and all dealing with all these people and finding out who the top guy is and where he's connected and getting into gunfights, and then eventually they figure out where they're it's a multinational company, it's a cover, and they're really drug dealers looking all over the world, so they have to attack the testing site, and then basically there's a massive shootout for the last half an hour where they're killing all the guys who work for this company through various streets in this town outside Rome, I think. And then they're under this subway station for a bit. Then a plane at the end, which makes you see this was based on research about heroin. Like, I don't think the plane sequences were. It's just completely absurd in every possible way, but it's so absurd and so stupid that it's a lot of fun, because it really is stupid as hell. Like, Fabio Testi is obviously undercover, even when no one gets he's undercover, and it's like, he's obviously a cop. Because the film tries to have this as a surprise. They make him look like the villain for the first half of the movie, but it's like, no, he's a cop. He acts like a cop, he's a cop. And it is so stupid, but it's just so much fun because it's completely ridiculous and it doesn't understand how ridiculous it is. And yeah, it's a blast for all the wrong reasons. Both these films they're obviously made for the Italian market that was going through political troubles. It's like, we're going to get the dads in and the young men who think the country's out of control, so we're going to have these rogue cops. So there was a rogue cop thing going on in Italy in the 70s, which made for a lot of fun movies with ridiculous lead characters who were all very authoritarian and all thought that any kind of women's lib, any kind of youth movement, any kind of anything that's not traditional was obviously the root of all the problems. So it's kind of hilarious to watch. Then there's other films that were much more serious about these things that were like, nah, you lot are the actual problems. But yeah, this is a lot of fun. Both films are a lot of fun, but you have to go in knowing you're in for complete trash. They are insane. They are legitimately insane films, and they don't know it. So yeah, have fun, enjoy. I had a blast. Bye.